Well, we're down here in the beautiful Virginia International Raceway. It's an absolutely gorgeous day, but I'm down here ready to go with the FR Americas group, and I'm looking at the championship leader right now, Kyffan Simpson. Kyffan, how do you feel? Can you get a win from where you are?
I think I definitely can. I think I'm going to get a good start. I've been thinking about it a lot. I haven't had great starts recently, but I think I know what I've been doing wrong, and I'm going to improve on it and hopefully I can keep one in turn one.
All right, well, best of luck. Kyffan Simpson from Grand Cayman leading the championship, and this is where the future stars are, and doesn't get any easier to say it than the Future Star Racing Team, Ernie Francis Jr. These are the guys, these are the names that you will hear in the future, whether they go into single-seaters and the road to Indy, or they end up in maybe NASCAR. But this man has a choice. He could go, I don't know, single-seaters, or even into Trans Am. He's got 7 titles in Trans Am, but enjoying his single-seaters. How are you going today?
Doing pretty good. Been having a lot of fun driving this thing this weekend. Just got to say props to the whole Future Star Racing Wings and Wheels team. We've gotten some real speed in the car since the Mid-Ohio round, and we've been right there battling for race wins and podiums. So really excited. You know, got a 4th place start out here. Hopefully we can try and move on and get to the front.
Ernie Francis Jr., great words from him. Watch out for him in the number 98. Alongside him, a new man to the grid, but not a new man to me, chasing in the footsteps of Scott Dixon. He's Ryan Yardley from Christchurch in New Zealand, a former winner in the 86s and TRS in Toyota in New Zealand. What about this car? How do you feel, Ryan, about taking these boys on?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's definitely been a while since I've raced, you know, probably 3 years since I was in an international championship like this. So yeah, just very fortunate to be here. Loving every minute. Thank you to Kiwi Motorsport, Helmet House, and everyone else that's got me here. So it's been a big effort, and these boys are seriously quick, but we'll give it a go and see where we end up.
Is it good to be back in single-seaters?
Yeah, loving it. So yeah, it's super fast around this track. Yeah, loving every minute, and can't wait to get out there and race.
Watch out then for Ryan Yardley, representing New Zealand in the number 78. Jordan Missick obviously was in our commentary booth. Jordan, we've already spoken to you today. Good to go? Can you beat this boy?
Absolutely, that's what we're going to try to do. So we're going to go out there, give it our best shot, and go have a fun race.
All right, Jordan Missick in the number 48, but all eyes will be on Josh Carr. The reason being, Josh Carr can win the championship if Kyffan Simpson doesn't do it. He, of course, is chasing Daniel Ricciardo all the way to Formula One, and he's on his way. How about today at a track you've got more experience than anywhere?
Yeah, very excited about today. We had great speed all weekend, and we're carrying great momentum from Brainerd. So we're on pole for today. Beautiful day out here. We're going to try and get a clean start and head off into the distance again.
All right, Josh Carr looking ready for the Crosslink Kiwi team in the number 9. As you can hear, the engines are just starting to wind up now. Watch out for Kyffan Simpson. He leads the championship, but there's 6 races to go, or several points to be gathered here. So watch out for Josh Carr, and Jordan Missick is far from out of it yet. I'm going to hand you back to John Phippen when we get going.
Thanks, Johnny, as we've got the 13 cars getting ready to take the start for our first Formula Regional Americas race of the weekend. Formula Regional Americas, the step up on the 5-step ladder to the Formula One World Championship. These cars with a lot more horsepower and a lot more downforce than the F4 cars that we just saw in their first race of the weekend. So we expect the lap times here to be about 10 seconds a lap faster around this VIR race course. Again, these cars with more wing at the front and rear, more underbody downforce. They've got a big diffuser in the back, which generates a lot more downforce. They carry a wider tire, both front and rear, than the F4 counterparts. And the biggest change is the engine. The Honda K20C2 power plant with the turbocharger makes just north of 300 horsepower, nearly twice what the F4 drivers have in the normally aspirated version of that same motor. As we are just moments away from sending the cars out behind the Honda Civic Type R safety car, you can hear the engines coming to life down on the false grid, as our safety car will lead them around for one formation lap. They'll come to a stop here on the front straightaway in their 7 rows of 2. And that will get this race underway. This is round 13 of our season. We have 6 races to go, including the one just about to start, as we'll have 3 races here this weekend, and then we round out our season with the Speed Tour once again down at the Circuit of the Americas in early November. And we heard from race control that cars are being released, and they are heading out behind the safety car. Let's introduce this 13-car starting grid for you, as we've got a couple drivers who we've not seen before this weekend in the field. Starting in 13th position, he'll be alone in row 7, is Kevin Jansen in the number 24 car. He's with the new Wisco team. Wisco is a Radical dealer based right here at VIR, and they are sponsoring Kevin Jansen with the U.S. Power Group, DCS, and APC by Schneider Electric. He makes his home in Boca Raton, Florida, again making his first start with us here this weekend. On the outside of row 6 is car 29. That's Nick Pershing. Nick out of Morgan Hills, California for Velocity Racing Development. Alongside him in that 6th row is the 17 car of Baptiste Berthelot, the Frenchman from Reims in France for TJ Speed Motorsport. Up into row number 5 on the outside is the 91 car of Cooper Becklin, making his first start with us from West Lynn, Oregon for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport. He's sponsored by Helmet House. Alongside him, car number 19, the Alpharetta, Georgia native, Varun Choksi for TJ Speed Motorsports. Varun sponsored by ADR and Melon Seed. In row number 4 on the outside is car number 99, Logan Cuson, out of Port Hope, Ontario, Canada, another of the TJ Speed Motorsports drivers. He's sponsored by Echelon Capital Markets, Peerage Capital, and Dickinson Wright. Next to him is the number 11, making his first start in the Formula Regional Americas car. That's Arias Duke-Majan out of Merritt Island, Florida for Velocity Racing Development. You might say, well, hey, that 11 car is normally driven by Hunter Yaney. Hunter has international racing commitments this weekend and couldn't make it, so Arias has stepped in to that VRD car for this weekend. He'll start 7th. In row 3, in 6th position is car number 14. That's Dylan Tavella out of Massapequa, New York for Crosslink Competition, sponsored by Crosslink Coatings. Next to him is the points leader, car number 21, Kiffin Simpson from the Grand Cayman Islands for TJ Speed Motorsports. Kiffin sponsored by Simpson Racing Products, Spy Optic, and GoPro. Probably not the qualifying performance he was looking for. He's about half a second off the pace set by Josh Carr, his closest pursuer for the points championship. Ernie Francis Jr. will start outside of row 4. Jonathan talked to him on the false grid. The number 98 car out of Southwest Ranches, Florida for Future Star Racing, sponsored by the Wings and Wheels Foundation. Ernie Francis Jr., again, new to single-seaters, but has done a fantastic job this season, working his way up into the point standings, finally taking his first win of the season at Mid-Ohio, currently 8th in the points. Ryan Yardley, again, the New Zealand driver from Christchurch that Jonathan spoke to in the 78 car for Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport, the Kiwi Motorsport Helmet House sponsorship, as we have the 99 car of Logan Cuson spinning off on the formation lap. Not quite sure why, but it looks like we're going to have to go around one more time, as we have a similar situation in the F4 race, as we had a driver off on the formation lap. And the 99 of Logan Cuson will have to take his position at the back of the pack. He was scheduled to start in row 4 on the outside, but sadly that will not happen, as he has spun off during the formation lap, and there will be one more. Our co-commentator for the race just concluded, the F4 race just concluded, Jordan Missig, starts outside of row number 1. Jordan from Channahon, Illinois for Newman Wax Racing. He is sponsored by the Audubon Country Club. And our pole sitter, the 2019 F4 US champion, is car number 9, Joshua Carr from Sydney, Australia for Crosslink Competition and Crosslink Coatings as his sponsor. Josh looking for his 4th win on the season and trying to close that gap to Kiffin Simpson. Again, there are 150 points still on offer for the final 6 races of the year. Josh is 49 points behind. That's almost 2 full races worth of points. So his job, obviously, is to finish at the front and hope that he gets a little help from Kyffin Simpson, who's starting a little deeper in the pack than we normally see. Kyffin starting back in row number 3. Josh Carr had 11 top 10s a year ago. He was second here at VIR a year ago on all 3 races. He's the 2017 Australian and SCUSA Supernats X30 senior champ. So he came to the F4 championship with his some pretty significant bona fides from the karting ranks. He finished 4th in his first year in the championship in 2018, and then took the championship the following year in 2019. Finished 6th in this championship a year ago with 3 podiums, once again right here at VIR. So it's a track he knows and a track he likes. So he's confident, obviously, for a good finish here. Jordan Missick finished well in the championship a year ago, finished in the top 10. He had a single podium a year ago. He had 9 total points bank finishes. His best finish was here at VIR, where he finished 3rd. He also comes to the championship with some karting skills and also a Radical Cup North America vice champion in 2019. Ryan Yardley, the number 78 car, making his first start with us. As Johnny said, he won the 2016-17 New Zealand Toyota 86 Championship. And then in the Toyota Racing Series, he was 9th in his first year in 2018, where he was Rookie of the Year. He finished 11th in Australian F4 a year ago in 2019, and finished 2nd during the Australian GP weekend in his last year in single-seaters in his native New Zealand and Australia. So it's great to have Ryan with us. He's shown great pace all weekend long.
Yeah, you got to remember he's been working as an engineer.
Anybody who follows the Trans Am Championship, clearly Ernie with a 7-time Trans Am wins, but has taken to these single-seaters like a duck to water, as they say, finally breaking through with his first win at Mid-Ohio in round 9. Kyffin Simpson, the points leader with that 49 points advantage, won 5 of the first 6 races, and it looked like he was going to take the championship on a trot, but he's been denied the top step on the podium since the final round at Road America, but he's finished 2nd or 3rd in the remaining races. So that consistency will still keep him in the championship lead. Josh Carr just has to win and hope he gets a little help. Varun Choksi, not racing at the front this weekend, back in the 5th row, is 3rd in the points. He's a further 75 points behind Josh Carr, so it's going to be a tall order for him to be a factor for the points championship. But the top 7 all earn FIA Super License points, so there's still lots to play for, even if the Ultimate Championship may still be out of reach. 7 drivers are still mathematically in the hunt for the championship. Looks like our second formation lap coming to a close now, and hopefully we will be able to grid our cars this time by and get this race underway. Josh Carr in the number 9 for Crosslink competition. Jordan Missick in the Newman Walks Racing number 48 follows in alongside as the safety car pulls into the pit lane. Turning the field over to our starters, making their way slowly down the front straightaway here. Ryan Yardley with that brilliant day-glow orange nose on that 78 car. Coming along in 3rd spot, Ernie Francis Jr., the very recognizable red, white, and blue colors of the Future Star Racing team. Ernie, the recipient of the PMH Powering Diversity Scholarship for this season, which gives him the free entry to all of the races, a fuel stipend from Sunoco, and a parts stipend from Ligier North America, manufacturer of these race cars. Last of the cars rolling into position. You can see the missing spot from Logan Cuson, who spun off on the formation lap and will have to start from the pit lane if he takes the start at all. Finally, Kevin Jansen rolling into position, and we're just waiting for the light sequence to begin. That is the case.
Virginia.
You'll hear these engines come up on the rev limiter when the lights start to ignite. All 5 lights are out and we're away, and Jordan Missick gets a fantastic start and dives into the front in front of the pole sitter, Joshua Carr. So Jordan feeling energized as It looks like Ernie Francis Jr. is going to try to make a move around the outside of Josh Carr as well, as they're down into the horseshoe for the first time.
Oh,
but Ernie
no!
loops it right in front of our points leader. Josh has to take evasive action. Ernie still sitting counter race as the field makes its way through, but Josh Carr all the way to the back after having to take evasive action with that spin by Ernie Francis Jr.
Well, I just wonder how good that start was by Jordan Missig. Wouldn't say it was a jump start, but boy, he did fly off the line. Let's hope it's not a false start for his sake. That was a brilliant start.
Missig with a big lead now as he stretches his advantage over now Dylan Tavella up into second spot. So Dylan, already a winner this year, looking for his second win on the season perhaps, as he's in a position to challenge Jordan Missig at the front as they make their way down through the hog pen turn and onto the front straightaway to complete race lap number 1. Up into the oak tree they come. This is a 35-minute race, so the clock started when the first, the pace car first paced and start finish for the first time. So
Ryan Yardley looks like he's dropped down to 5th place, so it really was an explosive start for different reasons, with the pole man not getting off the line the way he wanted to.
Exactly right.
Here's a replay. Bernie going. Well, you can't blame anybody else. He didn't touch anybody else. He was just on the dirty side of the track.
Yeah, he was just on the outside there, and Josh did a good job of avoiding him. But by the start and finish line they come, as it is Jordan Missig with the fast lap of the race, obviously, as he's out in front. Dylan Tavella about a second and a half behind him. Ryan Yardley holding on to that 3rd spot. Kiffin Simpson up to 4th. That's just what he wants to see, with Varun Choksi in 5th. Arias Dugmajan in his first start in the series in 6th spot. Nick Berging, who started on the last row, up to 7th. Batiste Berthelot 8th. Cooper Beckla 9th. Joshua Carr back in 10th, so he's got his work cut out for him as he is some 9 seconds behind the leader.
Well, they've got a nose cone ready for Ernie. I don't think he'll need it, to be honest. Knowing the way Ernie races, he'll keep plowing on if he can, knowing he's in 11th. He'll just try and get some points.
Top 10 do score points in the FIA standard point structure. 25 for the win, 18 for second, 15 for third, all the way down to a single point for 10th place. We don't award bonus points for fast laps or leading the most laps or getting on the pole, so it's strictly finishing position. So Ernie obviously will try to get up into that 10th position and see if he can score some points. Logan Cuson, by the way, was able to get started, but he is a lap down to the race. Kevin Jansen then up into the 12th position. As we are working race lap number 2, finally getting underway after an extra pace lap because of the spin by Logan Cuson.
Well, Simpson's got to build a race here. He's got the championship lead. He's got an opportunity to really get away from the chase that Josh Carr's got him in. And with Josh Carr going backwards, this has got to be a huge opportunity at this weekend to really make some hay.
Yeah, now look at Josh. He's picked up 1 spot into 10th position now, but he is still over 10 seconds behind the leaders. As we check his pace, Jordan Missig's last lap was the fastest, a 146 flat. Josh Carr at a 146.4. So he's mired back in traffic, but he is much quicker than the cars around him. So if he can make up the ground, he'll be able to pick off some of those drivers over the rest of the course of the rest of this race. But right at the moment, he is definitely not the start that he wanted to this weekend.
Obviously, good omen doing some commentary with us for Jordan.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's the opposite of the commentator's curse.
Exactly.
Dylan Tavella up into 2nd spot. Ryan Yardley doing a great job in his return to single-seaters in 3rd. Kiffin Simpson hanging on to 4th. Got a big grin under that crash helmet, I'm sure, because as you said, he is right now looking to stretch his points lead over Joshua Carr. It's already nearly 2 full races, and after today, it may well be more than that.
And you know, if Kiffin Simpson can win the championship, I don't think there's ever been a single-seater champion from the Cayman Islands.
I don't believe so. No,
or even
I don't
from the
believe so.
Caribbean, to be honest.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think that would be a first. He did a lot of racing in Florida, coming up through karting and whatever, but so he's no stranger to North American racing. But yeah, he has really been in a commanding position in this championship since the first 2 weekends. Again, he won 5 of the first 6 races.
And remember the prize. I mean, the chance to get basically a $600,000 drive in one of the greatest series in the world, which is, of course, the Super Formula Series in Japan. That's, I mean, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, HPD and Honda Tokyo stepped up big this season to create that scholarship. And just ask Alex Palou, who is, for all practical purposes, the champion-elect of the IndyCar Series. I don't want to jinx it because he'll clinch it this weekend if he can. But Alex Palou had great success in that Super Formula Series, and we're going to be sending our champion off to that series in 2022. I think that's a great partnership with the series, PMH, and again, Honda Tokyo as well as HPD stepping up again for that over $500,000 scholarship to make that racing possible.
John Yardley just set the fastest lap on that last lap of 1:45.9, so he is quicker than both Jordan, I mean, only just quicker than Jordan Messick and Dylan Tavella, so watch out for Ryan Yardley.
The race lap record set by Mateus Solero Bell back in 2019, a 1:44.015. So we'll see as the race wears on if somebody can challenge that race lap record. Jordan Messick setting sail now with a 2.5-second lead over Dylan Tavella. Ryan Yardley, though, closing up on Tavella, maybe will be able to challenge 4-second spot. He was only a 1/2 a second back at the stripe. Kyffin Simpson, another 2nd and a 10th further back. Then Varun Choksi rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, I was down at Crosslink earlier watching Ryan Yardley prepare, and it's like a who's who of single-seater racing from New Zealand. We've got Hunter McElroy, of course, who's on the road to Indy. He's a Kiwi. We've got Caleb Nato, who's kind of playing the role that Ryan Yardley has played at Crosslink for the last couple of years. There's several drivers that have come over from New Zealand to learn their way and look for a chance. And like I said, following the footsteps of the great Dixon. So, yeah, it's a really nice story for Crosslink.
Josh Carr doing his best to make up some ground, and he's picked up 2 spots as he's moved around. Cooper Brecklin up into 9th or 8th position now is Josh Carr, about 3 seconds behind Baptiste Berthelot in the 17 car. So Carr picking his way forward. No change at the front. Jordan Messick stretching his advantage up to almost 3 seconds over Dylan Tavella. Ryan Yardley still in that 3rd spot as the Kiwi doing a great job here in his first race in this series. Kyffin Simpson holding on to 4th. Choksi still in the 5th spot. Great drone shots as we, I'm sorry, watch the cars come down toward the roller coaster, or make their way up the hill, excuse me, toward Oak Tree. Go ahead.
Watching Josh Carr here, I've just looked at his last lap time of 1:45.9. He's so much quicker than Baptiste Berthelot and Jim Machen ahead of him. So we've got to keep an eye on Josh Carr in 8th position because he is flying at the moment. Probably fed up, but he's flying.
Yeah, he's got about 3 seconds to make up to catch Berthelot. That would move him up into 7th spot. You can see as we follow Josh now coming out of Oak Tree. And, that's the car he's going to challenge. But you can see there's a big gap in front of Berthelot. So if he can get there, he'll have clear air to try to make up some good lap time and see if he can chase down Arias Dukmajian for 6th. Still plenty of time left. We're only 8.5 minutes into this 35-minute race. 21 minutes still remaining.
Taking a little bit more time out of Tavella. This is going to be a good battle in a minute.
Yeah, one of the things that you'll notice in these Formula Regional Americas cars, because they generate so much more downforce than their Formula F4 counterparts, it's a little tougher to follow closely. Again, the more downforce they generate, the more the turbulent air disturbs the wake, or that wake disturbs the car following. So they really have to pick and choose their passing opportunities because tucking your nose right under the rear wing of the leading driver is very difficult because you lose all the downforce off the front.
Both Messick and Tavella went quicker, with Yardley catching them in 3rd, but they both put good laps in. 1:45.2 from Messick, 1:45.3 from Tavella last time out. And as we look at Ernie Francis Jr., he too starting to make his way through. He's on the 1:46s. He's not quite as quick though, so he's got some work to do if he's going to catch and get to the points.
Josh Carr lapping almost 2 seconds quicker than Baptiste Berthelot in front of him, so he'll make up that ground pretty quickly. He's already halved it. It's down to about 1.5 seconds at the line, and it's going to get closer as he works his way around this lap. You can see Ryan Yardley there in the 78 car. He's got company with Kyffin Simpson right behind him as Dylan Tavella, Ryan Yardley, and Kiffin Simpson right there in your camera shot, all running within about a second and a half of one another. Kiffin Simpson looking racy as he closes up on the back of Yardley. He might try to pull the trigger here coming into the roller coaster.
Well, he was 3/10 quicker than Yardley. We've been talking about him being quick. Well, Simpson's on the hurry up as well now. He's got Chosky behind him, but he's come quite some way back. So Simpson-Yardley battle about to erupt. There it is, you can see it.
Yeah, that's a great three-way battle. Yardley in the sandwich there, in the middle, the meat in the sandwich, if you will. With Dylan Tavella, the Crosslink Coatings sponsored machine for Crosslink competition. He's the teammate of Joshua Carr. Come by the line to complete race lap number 6. See what progress Josh Carr has been able to make. Making his way forward. He sets fast lap of the race at 1:45.2 does Josh Carr. He's less than half a second behind the Frenchman, Baptiste Berthelot.
Yeah, this is good mature racing from Josh Carr, because a younger and less experienced driver would have lost his head, having lost 4 places and got spun out, or got knocked out effectively in the first corner. He lost the start, he would have been mad at himself. Then he was basically, you know, nothing you could do about Francis spinning in front of him. But, you know, your mind, just all your race plans go out the window, and you've got to take a deep breath and concentrate, and that's what Josh Carr's doing right now. So hats off to him.
Yeah, he's shown that maturity all throughout his racing career. It's great that he's putting that to good use right now. He's in front, as we see, that's Josh Carr in the green highlighted car. Baptiste Berthelot right in front of him as they make their way through the climbing S's.
You know, and I said it on the pre-grid walk, you know, these are the names you're going to remember in the future. And look what, you mentioned Alex Palou, but Josh Carr is going to be a name that you will see, and you will see Ernie Francis Jr. too, on an international stage, if not, you know, at the highest level of Indy or NASCAR soon. So that's why I love this series, because you've got to remember the names, because these are the guys you're going to be watching on a Sunday afternoon.
Side by side goes Josh Carr with Berthelot as they head down toward the roller coaster. So he's trying to take over that 7th position from the Frenchman. So one more spot. As the battle for 3rd is a dandy. Kiffin Simpson right on Ryan Yardley's tail.
Now the obvious place is to go at the horseshoe, which is coming up. The first corner here is to tuck himself in, which is what he's done from the drone. You can watch the racecraft here. Look at the draft he's got. He'll go to the outside and try to hold it all the way through. They're side by side coming into the horseshoe, but this is how you do it.
Both on the brakes as they come through the horseshoe side by side. Looks like he's gotten the job done.
Yep.
Nope,
no,
he's
he
still
holds
behind
on.
him. Nope. You're right. Yardley's still with the position.
Now the next opportunity really isn't until, well, potentially into 10. It's very narrow. I realized that when I came over the bridge for the other day and looked down at the track, you forget just how narrow this track is compared to some of the other tracks that we race at.
As we focus on this battle for 3rd, Yardley with the position, Simpson wanting to pick up one more, get himself back on the podium once again. This, if he finishes where he is right now, this would only be the 2nd race all season long that he has not finished on the podium.
Now, this is the corner he needs to get good drive out of. His next real opportunity is, there it is, that's good drive, and his next opportunity is tuck himself up into roller coaster, and he's now lining himself up to do just that.
Yeah, just what we saw Josh Carr do to Berthelot a lap ago. But Yardley has got good straight line speed as well, and he's weaving just a little bit, making that car as wide as he can, as unfortunately Logan Cuson back into the pits, as this has not been a good race for him after that spin on the formation lap, and he's now 2 laps down to the lead of the race.
Yeah, you can see the body language says it all. Not happy man. Now, so he didn't do it.
Go ahead.
Out of Hogben, he didn't do it out of the roller coaster. Now he's going to try to do the same again. Maybe he'll go for the inside this time because he couldn't pull it off around the outside. He's got the measure of him, has Yardley. Yep, and he is doing just that, thinking about going to the inside, but he's not close enough this time.
Yardley perhaps driving with his mirrors just a bit because he's lost touch with Dylan Tavella in front of him, as Tavella's pulled out to about a 1.2 second lead over this battle for 3rd that we're following. Jordan Missig is just checking out in the front. He's 4.5 seconds in the lead.
Yeah, Yardley's got a lot of experience. That Toyota Racing Series where some of the best drivers in the world come down, and he's gone head-to-head with those guys. And so I think he's got a lot of confidence, but he hasn't been in a car racing for a year. He did a bit of time on the West Coast testing and so on. the odd race, but really nothing consistent. So to come into the championship like this and be running third is really impressive.
Yeah, and Tavella lost a little ground on that last lap as he made his way through the horseshoe, as these two have caught him right back up again. As Tavella, like I say, had built up over a 1 second cushion, but it is obviously not that much now, so he must have made a boo-boo somewhere between start finish and where we see them right now coming down the back straightaway.
But still, if we stay green, John, there's a lot of time left in this race.
Oh yeah, we're just a half distance. There's still 14 and a half minutes still remaining, so plenty of time still left for these drivers to make it happen. And tire conservation is something that they have to mandate. They only get 2 sets of Hankook slicks for the entire weekend, for qualifying and the 3 races. So they've got to keep the tires under them because they've got to have tires for the final 2 races of the weekend. So this could be a situation where they're playing a little cat and mouse game, trying to preserve these Hankook slicks so they've got some tires under them at the end of the race.
Yeah, this is an interesting time for Simpson because, as you say, he's hardly been off the podium, so he'll be chomping at the bit to kind of finish where he usually does at least. But I think now he's got the measure that Yardley is capable. He won't know how well Yardley races, but now he's got a couple of laps under his belt to know that Yardley's not an easy pushover. And then he's going to start thinking about the championship, because a lunge here could ruin everything, especially with Josh Carr still very much in the hunt and now in 7th place and picking up points with every lap.
Exactly, yeah, he's closing down now on Arias Dukmajian. Arias started the championship with us in the F4 seat, but has moved over to take over Hunter Yeany's number 11 Velocity Racing Development car for this weekend. And Arias doing a great job in 6th right now, but Josh Carr doing his best to run him down. At the stripe, they were about 2 seconds apart. Carr lapping not quite a full second quicker, so he'll catch him for sure, but Dukmajian, I can tell you from past experience, is going to be tough to pass once he gets there.
Well, Jordan Missick, we're not watching his battle because he's on his own and setting fastest laps at 1:45.060 at the front. The gap is now 5.9 seconds, so Jordan in the zone.
Battle for second is a good one. Tavella, Yardley, and Simpson. Bring about a 3-second gap back to this battle. Varun Choksi with Dukmajian right behind him. And you can see the green highlights on Josh Carr's machine as he is pedaling hard to try to catch up with those two. So Carr perhaps in a position to pick off 2 drivers at once as Choksi and Dukmajian running nose to tail.
Well, if he could finish behind Simpson, that really does effectively negate any advantage that Simpson would have gained. And I said, as soon as Carr went off, I said, well, this has got to be his opportunity. But Carr's narrowing that down now and making it almost negligible.
That would certainly be a damage limitation for sure. So once again, Kyffin Simpson, again, I think showing great maturity on his own. Again, this is his first season with our championship, but Kyffin clearly not doing anything foolhardy because he knows that a 3rd place finish is certainly better than a outside the points finish if he were to throw it off the track. Meanwhile, you can see Jordan Missick disappearing in the sunset. He is gone. 6.5 seconds out in front. Josh Carr just set fast lap of the race as he's closed down to within a second of Dukmajian. You can see that battle at the top of your screen. So those 3 drivers, Choksi, Dukmajian, and Carr, duking it out for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
This is the closest Simpson's been, and he's going to try to, again, look to Oak Tree coming up on the next corner to get out and get the drive and then get that slipstream.
Choksi, and he goes a little bit wide, opening the door for Arias Dukmajian, but not able to take advantage of it. But
this is helping Josh Carr too, because if these 2 fight, he's just going to catch up because Carr's on his own and in the zone.
Yep, exactly right. See Choksi weaving just a bit, trying to break the draft of Dukmajian. Becklin, the other debutant here this weekend in the 91 car, running in 10th spot, so scoring points on his first race. Again, we had Cooper in the F4 Championship a year ago for a brief period, but this is his first start in the Formula Regional Americas Championship. Driver out of Oregon.
It's been a really good, clean race. We got a bit of an amazing start from Jordan Missick, but we've had no reason to think that there was anything wrong with it, so that's good news. Josh Carr and Ernie Francis Jr. involved in that incident, but both now climbing back into good point-scoring positions. And Jordan Missick flying at the moment.
Sadly, Josh Carr going the wrong direction as He was just closing up on that battle for
Josh
fifth.
Cars, yeah, he's
and
got a
he
problem.
is off track.
He's dropped down to 11th now already on my board, and I think that could be that he's grass tracking somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, Carr missing an action from that battle at the top.
It's turn 11, he's gone off.
Yeah.
You'll see it on the drone probably because, yeah, turn 11, that is Oak Tree, isn't it?
Yep.
So Josh Carr, what a shame after all that hard work. It's going to come to naught for him. You may see him in the shot coming up. What a shame.
Yeah, no kidding. After that great recovery drive, it looks like it's going to come to naught. As we watch the battle between Varun Choksi and Arias Dukmajian for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, I think, you know, it looks as though to me, we haven't seen him upslope. It looks as though he just pulled out of the way and has gone behind the arm code, and that's a good thing. Josh is a very sensible driver. He doesn't want to stop the race, even though it would be to his advantage if he could, perhaps. But he's a good sportsman, so he's got out of the way, which is why we haven't seen him. There's the car. It's behind the barrier, but parked up, and he's already out of it. So, yeah, whatever the problem was, it was terminal, and it doesn't look like a crash to me. See how, yeah, that's a weird one. There he is. He's a long way from the car, but he's walked away, and we can see it. Thank you.
Thank you, cameraman.
We appreciate that. I feel for him because that could really change the dynamic of the championship, and that will be going through his mind right now. He was 49 points behind at the start of this weekend, and despite the spin at the beginning, he was just about to make that as palatable as possible, losing only a few points to Simpson. Now it's going to be dramatic.
Baptiste Berthelot now coming under a challenge from Ernie Francis Jr. as Ernie's up to 8th spot, Berthelot in 7th. Checking the lap times of the two, Ernie about a half a second quicker on that last lap.
Simpson's dropped off.
Yeah, he's not nearly as close as he was.
Then again, if I was his team manager, I'd tell him to, because if Josh Carr's parked up, I'd be like, man, just finish where you are. You're doing fine.
Yeah, you've got no problems. Right?
Started 5th, finish 4th. I like it.
So we've got about 7.5 minutes remaining. Jordan Missig in cruise control mode now, lapping in the mid-145s with a 7-second lead over Dylan Tavella and Ryan Yardley, the battle that we've been following much of this race. There's the 48 car of Jordan Missig as we give him some camera time, well-deserved. But he is so far out in front, there hasn't been much to talk about, as Missig got the jump at the start and has not looked back. Dylan Tavella and Ryan Yardley still within about a second of each other. About 3/4 of a second at the line as they're coming by right now to complete race lap number 13. You can see that battle now for 2nd and 3rd. Tavella in the 14 car, Yardley in the 78. Kyffin Simpson, I think, as you said, just taking it easy right now, as his last lap was a couple seconds off his ultimate pace. Hopefully that doesn't indicate a problem, but I think he's just solidifying his hold on 4th spot, realizing that he's going to extend his points lead by a pretty comfortable margin.
Well, that's the beauty of the radio communications, that they can let him know and just basically, you know, coach him to the finish and just let him know who's around, where his opposition is. So he'll have been told that Josh is out.
Battle for 2nd. Simpson in the background, but just maintaining his 4th place position. Arias Dukmajian in his first start in the FR car did a good job in 5th, holding off the challenge from behind of Joshua Carr prior to his off. Baptiste Berthelot is some 7 seconds up the road, so Dukmajian in no real challenge right at the moment as well. He's comfortable in that spot. There's Ernie Francis Jr. at the lead of this queue with Cooper Becklin and Varun Choksi now behind him. Ernie Francis Jr. getting around Baptiste
Berthelot, yeah? I'll get it out for you.
Thank you, thank you.
The frog has come.
Indeed it does. Up into 6th spot for Ernie Francis Jr. 2 wheels off the ground as he's crashing over the curbs there at the entrance to Hog Pen.
There's no question Ernie is enjoying single-seaters. Whether he kind of pursues it, I don't know. Spoke to his mum earlier, and there's obviously some big things in the offing for him, but he really could go anywhere because people in NASCAR are looking at him, people in single-seaters realizing, you know, he's got the diversity program now behind him, and there's a lot of impetus now on that, and I really do look forward to seeing where he goes next, because he's a 7-time champion in Trans Am, so surely he can't stick around there.
Yeah, so you know, where's the up for him
Yeah.
know, from here? So if he's able to stick with this championship and perhaps battle for the front of the championship next season in his second season, you know, the trip over to Super Formula on offer, you know, the sky's the limit in single seaters. Yeah,
So
it looks
this
like
is the
Kivens-
closest Yardley's been to Dylan Tavella.
And Simpson has caught back up as well as they put Kevin Jansen a lap down there at Oak Tree. So now 10 cars remaining on the lead lap. Nick Persing, the last car on the lead lap. With about 3.5 minutes, 3:42 to be precise. Second place battle has been a good one all race long.
Yeah. And good concentration at the front too, because it's easy to make a mistake when you're battling this hard for this long, a full half hour at this speed. People forget how physically demanding and mentally demanding it is.
Yeah, these cars obviously generating much higher cornering forces than the F4 counterparts. It's going to be exhausting for the drivers. They do not have power steering, so they are wrestling these cars with more rubber at the front. The steering effort is going to be higher. The downforce squashing those tires down into the ground makes it tougher to navigate. Giffen resurgent now as this three-way battle for second, third, and fourth could go any way now, and wonder if Giffen's been given the green light to try to get back on the podium.
You know, from the drone, it makes you realize just, you know, it's one thing to look at the timing and see that there's just a tenth between them, but when you see them glide through NASCAR and then left hook through the snake, and they're almost, you know, line astern at exactly the same point in the track, and the gap stays the same, you can see that's why there's nothing between them when they cross the line.
Up through the climbing S's as they head down into this Oak Tree bend.
That was a mistake.
Back straight away. Yeah, just a little bit of a mistake there. Kevin Jansen again being lapped by Nick Persing behind him. Chotsey sadly going the wrong direction as he qualified in 5th spot, but made a mistake a couple laps ago and went from 5th back to 9th. So Chotsey not having the race go his way. He was 3rd in the points coming into this round. So Jordan Missig was definitely in a position to take over that 3rd spot from Farouk Chotsey if the race finishes the way it is right now.
So 1 lap to go. Come on, Yardley. Let's see if he can get to Vela before the end of this. Let's go, Simpson. Get on that podium. You've been on one every race this year, almost.
Save 2. He finished 4th in the first race in Road America and did not score points in the first round at Mid-Ohio. Those are the only races he's not been on the podium.
Very satisfying morning for Jordan Missig, though. What a race he's put in. And when you start winning races by over 5 seconds, you know you're in the top seat there. That's a great race.
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, he, you know, took the lead at the start and has not been headed this entire event. As he is in cruise control right now. Watch this second place battle here on the final lap. Dylan Tavella there in the front in the 14 car, the 78 of Yardley. Right behind him, the 21 of the points leader, Kiffin Simpson, stretching that advantage now. Finishes in 4th. That's good for 12 points. And will stretch his lead to over 2 full races worth. Maybe too early to coronate him as the champion, but it is certainly looking in his favor with the way this race has come to fore. Josh Carr certainly in a position to make up some ground if he can have a good finish in the remaining 2 races. He's got to be disappointed in how this one turned out.
Yep, and another great graduate from the Autobahn Country Club. I think Cameron Das was a graduate of that too. Jordan Missig definitely so, and it looks as though he's going to get this victory.
Jordan, believe it or not, taking his first win of the season. His He's been
Good for
good,
him.
consistent finisher. He's had 4 podium finishes, but now top step of the podium for Jordan Missig.
That was immaculate. What
Yeah.
a performance.
Absolutely flawless performance. It looks like they're going to finish line astern for second, third, and fourth. As Dylan Tavella comes across the line in second spot. Ryan Yardley on debut, finishing on the podium. Kiffin Simpson across the line in fourth. Arias Tukmajian making his first start in this car, finishes in the top 5, 10 points for him. Ernie Francis Jr. comes home in sixth.
Just missing out there, but yes, takes 6, and that's a good result.
Matisse Berthelot, Cooper Becklin across the line in 7th and 8th. Varun Choksi will finish in 9th spot, and Nick Persing, a distant 10th, will be the final points paying position. I'm headed down to the podium once again. Jonathan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, and shout out obviously to Ryan Yardley coming back into single-seater racing after a year and a half, pretty much with absence, having done some engineering work and mechanic work, but hasn't lost a step, and being against Dylan Tavella, who's been a regular for the last few seasons in the American Series, who gets a very strong second place. But hats off to Jordan Missig. Great result by him, and as John says, first time he's actually got the checkered flag this year. He's always there or thereabouts, is Jordan, but that was a very pleasurable run to set up his weekend for sure, because that was a lights to flag victory, and no question about it, he won that race at the very start. So let's take a look back now at what happened in our FR Americas race. There is that start. You can see from the drone just how quickly Missig got past Josh Carr, but there was more drama to come at the horseshoe because they lost a horse, and that was Ernie Francis Jr. going round, but unfortunately Josh Carr was caught up in that, and so both men had to start regaining some positions, which they started to do. A block up here and there. It's Baptiste Berthelot getting in trouble. 98, Ernie Francis Jr. getting back on track quickly, but out front Jordan Missig was building his lead. The battle was really interesting for second, third and fourth place between Yardley, Simpson and Tavella, because by then Missig had gone. A win for Jordan Missig. Dylan Tavella takes second, and Ryan Yardley, back in the championship, takes third place. And confirmation of the results then. Jordan Missig for the Newman Wax Racing Team wins ahead of Dylan Tavella for Crosslink competition, and it's Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport again in third place. So another good result for the Kiwis as that team dominates the championship here in both F4 and F3, or FR I should say. Kiffin Simpson is fourth position. Arias Tukmajian is fifth. Ernie Francis Jr. recovered well, given that he went round at the beginning there while in third place, and he recovered 2-6 ahead of Baptiste Berthelot. Cooper Becklin making his debut. Varun Choksi chops down to 9th, and Kevin Jansen is 10th. So, good start to the weekend for both FR and F4, our single-seater championships, but it doesn't get any better. And we'll be talking about the Ligier and the chassis. Well done, Jordan. I think that meant a lot. That was the voice you were hearing in our F4 commentary if you've been with us all morning. And so he set himself up right, getting the congratulations. In a moment, John will have a quick chat with him, but I'm really pleased for him. He's so excited he can't get the helmet off in time, or as quick as he wants. There he is, and it's all smiles. Let's head down to John Phippen. He's with our winner.
Jordan Missig, it is hard to believe this is your first win of the championship. It all happened at the start, and then you just checked out. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It's taken a little too long, I think, in my eyes. But yeah, I can't thank the guys at Newman Wax Racing enough for putting together an awesome car this weekend so far. Brian and the guys, Doug, have been working so hard to put this thing together, so I can't thank them enough as well. All the hard work and 2 years have gone into this, and it's been awesome.
Anybody else you'd like to thank?
Absolutely. Audubon Country Club for their driver development program. They've been giving me through karting to karts and then now into a winner in Formula Regional. So I can't thank them enough for getting me through the grassroots of racing, starting from nothing and then into this. And I'd like to give one more congratulations to my girlfriend's father, who recently just passed away due to brain cancer. So I'd like to dedicate this one to them.
Thanks. Johnny, great first win for Jordan Missig.